Next, we have Randy Kimmens, Associate Vice Chancellor for Workforce Development in the Maricopa Community College District. Randy has over 30 years of higher administration experience at the community college level. He earned his BS from Illinois State University, an MA in Educational Psychology from Western State College, and his doctorate in Educational Leadership from, where's Mike Sabbath, from Northern Arizona University. There we go Lumberjacks. He has experience as I believe there would be a smattering we just got for the Lumberjacks. He has experience as a faculty member, department chair, dean of students, dean of instruction, and currently, for the past 6 years, has served as the Associate Vice Chancellor for Workforce Development in the Maricopa Community College District. He oversees all workforce development efforts there within a district with 210,000 students, over 900 occupational programming tracks, and 350 programs. He conducts partnerships development and resource development in this area. He has served on numerous boards, presented locally at the state and national level dozens of times, and is the recipient of numerous awards for his efforts in terms of workforce development. That's what the script said. And I will also share that I've known Randy for over a decade, and when I first joined Maricopa, it's a big, complex system. Randy approached me and made sure that I was set and comfortable and learning the things I needed to know. He's just a wonderful guy and someone I call a friend. So I'd ask you to join me in welcoming Randy Kimmens to the stage.
Good morning. It's a great pleasure to be here. I'm very excited and pleased to be here, but I have a question for all of you. I'm jealous of Daniel and his new job for a variety of reasons, and my question is, how does he get this many people in here when you're supposedly off on Fridays? So this tells me that it's really important about what you do, and you really buy off on what you do, and that's genuine, and that's really key. And I'm going to talk a little bit about how important I think it is to try to align economic development with some of the things that you're trying to do. And I know you're already doing a great job with that. And I think the other thing to recognize when you're going through this massive strategic planning process is to really remember that everything you're doing now, or a lot of what you're doing now, is what? It's pretty good stuff. And I don't think you want to forget the fact that a lot of what you do makes a lot of sense. And pat yourself on the back for that, because I think as we go through change and you look at change theory and change management, sometimes we tend to forget that and think that we've got to make this big transformational shift, when in reality, we might need to look at some different things in different ways, but there's a lot of good things going on too. So I wanted to share that with you too. We as a district, we're going through a lot. I think every community college is going through a lot of change. So again, I'm going to talk a little bit about how economic development, workforce development can impact that, and how important that part of things is. And the reality is, economic and workforce development can be a teacher in philosophy as well as a teacher in automotive technology, and everything in between. So it is an important thing, and if we were to look at economic development and really examine that a little bit more closely, I think it's really important to make that a real part of your mission statement, your vision statement. Most community colleges have transfer and gen ed, and they have all the areas underneath, maybe personal interest, but it's really important to have your governing board, and whether you're in arts and sciences or whatever it is that you teach, to understand that it's really important to have workforce development as part of what you do and how you go about moving your institution forward. if we look at all the employers that you have, and I talked to Julie Engel, who's part of the Yuma Economic Development Corporation. She talked to me a little bit about all the different industry clusters that they focus on, and I think it's important, and I think in some ways you really are, aligning that with what it is that you're all about. That's really key as you look at what you're going to be doing with workforce development in the future. Some of the things that we've done is, and certainly we're a different institution from yours, but some of the same kinds of things are the kinds of things that we need to be looking at as well. And we've gone through looking at having all these sessions, and I think it's so important to get, in a genuine sense, the information that you need for how you're going to move forward. But what keeps me up at night is, what are the new industries, and what are the things that are going to be changing, and what's coming up, and how much effort do I put in this as opposed to that, and do I just look at ROI, or what is all of that? And I think it's important to come up with really specific objectives, as it is with a lot of things, but it's real important that you look at, because you can go all over the place, what is the highest demand, highest growing areas in the Yuma area, because there's a lot happening here. And are you really meeting those needs? What are the areas that really need to be looked at as areas that you're doing well now, and what are the areas that you need to do more work on down the road? So it's really a community effort. And one of the things too that I would recommend is, as some of the speakers before me have talked a little bit about, is to think innovatively and think a little bit out of the box. And think about things that maybe you wouldn't have tried in the past. One of the things that we're just starting is we've got a partnership, a charter that we pulled together with Central Arizona College and Pima Community College, and it's the Arizona Technology Corridor. And that was stimulated by Lucid Industries coming to Casa Grande. They're basically the same kind of company that Tesla is, and they're saying they're going to beat Tesla, out of what they're doing and be even better. But they're looking at developing about 3,000 jobs in that area, so it's going to have a huge impact. And when that happened, we certainly respond to that and try to even proact to that. But what I want to share with you is, when that happened, it was going to take more than CAC to take care of that training. So they turned to Maricopa, they turned to Pima, and it certainly is in their backyard. But what I'm getting at with this is, it would not be out of the realm of possibility for, I don't know, Maricopa to partner with Arizona Western. You have great relationships with other universities and other colleges. So I mean, that's a possibility. But you've got to be looking at, how can you have those partnerships that are potentially different from the ones you have now, and might be thinking, locally what you need, but how can you partner with other people and other organizations as well? So when you look at that, I think, again, you've got to make some really hard choices about what are the areas that you're looking at. You have to really look at what are the skills gaps, and what are the areas that you're doing well in, what are the areas that you have, what the demand is. You can look at a variety of different predictive analytics to find that out, and I'm sure that you have offices here that do that. But you then also have to look at what those gaps are from what you're offering and what the demand is, and look at that on a regular basis, and look at your capacity, and look at where you're going to go with that. And so that's also really important as you go through the process, as you're developing partners. And I think it is, I had mentioned this earlier, but I think it's really important to, in a local level, obviously you have a lot of agriculture, agribusiness, food technology, there's manufacturing, there's certainly the aerospace and defense area, renewable energy. There's all these areas, and I think it's important to have a really good discussion with your economic development agency, the city, Chamber of Commerce, all of those organizations in a way that you're really looking at doing a sector strategy approach so that you're bringing them in on a regular basis and not just having advisory committees, which are good, but you want to really have a deliberate way of looking at bringing in all those players and making it really, really employer-driven more than ever before, and making that a real genuine part of where AWC is going to go in the future. I think it's also important to listen. Basic thing, but really important as you think about how you're going to strategize and where you're going to go and how you're going to prioritize. That's really an important part of things. And just think, if you could take some of the main companies, the larger companies, some of the mid-size and some of the smaller companies, and increase the number of employees that they have by even 10%, how that would raise the income levels, how that would raise social benefit, how that would raise the economy, how that would improve the lives of everybody in your service area overnight. If you could wave that wand and make that difference. And yes, it's incremental, but that's something that's going to have a huge impact on what you're doing and how you're doing it. I wanted to talk a little bit about some trends. And when we look at industry, there's a lot of different things going on. Artificial intelligence, cybersecurity, flexible technology, all kinds of things that you're probably aware of. And you might think, well, we don't have necessarily companies here that do that, but you need to be aware of what those are and how you might change your curriculum a little bit to be meeting that. And certainly there is a lot of effort to bring companies here, but I would also challenge you that you have a lot of good companies that are driving the economy here now, and it's even more important to keep them here. I think that is, yes? Oh, okay. So I think that's really important as well. So as you look at making your changes, let me make certain I'm on the right slide. As you're looking at making your changes and thinking that through, I think it's important to, again, look at the processes that you're going to be making to change the policies and include workforce development in that, and to differentiate, when you look at that, economic development certainly is about attraction and retention of companies, but workforce development is what you're all about in terms of training, and it's important to really look at putting that part of where you're going to go and how you're going to get there. The other thing that I would challenge you on is that I think it's important to look at systems and look at ways that you can get systems, because there's a lot of systems out there now that help connect the student to the employer and the employer to the student. That's something we've been struggling with for a long time, and gaining that data of where students are going, what they're making, and really important, how satisfied those employers are with those students in their performance on the job. So those are all really key areas that you want to look at, and there are a lot of systems to help you to do that now. We're just going through that and getting those kinds of things implemented. So I think that's really key as you go through this. So the last area I wanted to talk about was really student success and how important student success is, how important it is to look at when you're going through your programs, which you should be doing, and I'm sure you are doing, in terms of a workforce development, economic development manner, that you're looking at those programs in terms of what the cost per footsie is, how high that might be or low that might be, and start putting your resources where the programs are that have the highest success level and are doing pretty well, and as opposed to those programs that maybe are not, and then making those hard choices about we need to make some changes within that. I think that's important. And the last thing I would say is how critical it is when you look at workforce development to keep that together with arts and sciences and general education. Because as much as I have employers talking to me all the time of, Randy, we need people tomorrow. Do they have to go through a degree program? Can you abbreviate what it is you're doing? And yeah, we can. Yeah, we can do some competency-based kinds of things, some boot camp, short-term kinds of things. But at the same time, they want people that can speak, that can understand, that can critically think, that can problem solve, that can work with others. And that's the kind of thing that is brought in by an arts and science education and background. So with that, don't forget to try to have both sides of the house, as I call it, the academic side as well as the occupational side join together and make good decisions together, because that's what will really rise all boats and help the economy within Yuma to sustain and go even better. And you're a huge part of that, a huge part of that. Thank you.
Thank you, Randy. Lots to think about, for sure.